Okay, so let us come to the second part of the vector portion of our CC4 paper. In my last lecture, I had finished the vector product concept, like vector triple product, scalar triple product, and dot product, cross product. Now today I am going to discuss the second segment of this part, which is vector function and its limit, continuity, and derivatives and their respective properties. So first thing you need to know about the vector function. So let us start with this. If to each value of a scalar variable t, this t is a scalar variable. T is a scalar variable which lies in this region a lesser equal to t lesser equal to b. That means my scalar variable t lies within this region a to b. That means you can think that this t belongs to this closed interval AB. T belongs to this closed interval AB. And t is a scalar variable. Now corresponding to each variable t, I'll find a unit vector f. If I'll find a unit vector f corresponding to this each scalar variable t, then this function ft is called a vector function of t. Then this function ft is called a vector function of t. That means if t is a scalar variable lies within this region a to b and corresponds to this t, if there is a vector f, then the function f of t, that means the function f, where f is a vector and t is a scalar variable, is called a vector function of t. That means in a vector valued function there will be a vector f and obviously a scalar variable t, something like this. Now on an extent we can give an illustration of this vector function like this. Suppose this is any three-dimensional picture. And in this three-dimensional curve there is a point P upon this curve, and this is the origin O. So if we consider the distance from O to P as R, like this, suppose P be a point moving in three-dimensional space. P is a point which moves in this three-dimensional space at any time t. At any time t, we get the position vector R equal to OP. So this is the distance from O to P. This distance is R. So since the distance is always a vector, so we noted this vector as R. Then this vector R with respect to this time scalar t is a vector function. Like this. Here the vector is f. Similarly, in this three-dimensional picture, the vector is r, which is the distance from the point O to the point P, and t is the scalar variable. So we can say that this rt is a vector function of time t. Analogously, you can express a vector function ft in this component wise. So like we know, a vector in three dimension can be written in this way: a1 I cap, a2 j cap, plus a3 k cap. Similarly, a vector function ft in three dimension can be expressed in this way: f1 t I cap plus f2 t j cap plus f3 t k cap. So this is the representation of a vector valued function in three dimension. If it is two dimension, then obviously there will be a f1 t I cap plus f2 t j cap accordingly. Now we are going to discuss the more or less, you can say, the calculus of this vector function. First limit, then continuity, then differentiability. These are the, you can say, obviously integration is also there. So we'll now discuss the calculus of this vector calculus on these vector functions. And as a part of it, the first thing is limit, then continuity, then differentiability, then integration. So the first, limit of a vector function. A vector function ft is said to tend to a limit L. Like we all know that in a limit of a real valued function also we have like this: limit x tends to a fx. This is a kind of thing we have in a real valued function. where this is a scalar function, let's say. So similarly here, a vector function ft is set to tend to L. Set to tend to L. That means the value of this function is L. Sorry, limit of this function is L when if the time if the variable scalar variable t tends to t0. Again, this vector function ft is having the limit L when this scalar variable t tends to another scalar variable t naught. Okay, and when this value tends to a limit L, if modulus of ft minus L tends to 0 as t tends to t0. That means difference between ft and L tends to 0 as t tends to t0. This is a common concept. We know that limit of a function means the value of the function and the limit will always becoming closure as the t tends to t0. Similarly over here, ft minus L, this difference is becoming closure and tending to 0 whenever this t tending to t0. And we write this limit in this way. Limit t tends to t0, ft is equal to L. This is the notation. And in the prospect of analysis, you all know real analysis, the basic part of real analysis. So analytically, we can say in this way, this modulus tends to 0 means their difference is less than an arbitrary small quantity epsilon whenever the difference between this t and t0 is less than a quantity delta, and this delta is depending on epsilon. That means delta is a function of epsilon. Delta is a function of epsilon. So the thing is, the difference between this function and its limiting value, difference between the function and its limiting value is less than epsilon whenever the difference between t and t0 is less than delta, where delta is depending on epsilon. Then this vector is called the limit of ft. So this is in the prospect of analysis, and this is in the prospect of modulus calculation. And please be careful that in vector, modulus means modulus of a vector. Like this, in vector, modulus of A is A1 square plus A2 square plus A3 square, where A is something like this. If A is A1i plus A2j plus A3k, then modulus of A is this. So whenever I am talking about any modulus in case of vector, you have to think that modulus means this. Now, next coming to a very important theorem which states that, now there is a question that suppose I have ft as f1ti cap plus f2tj cap plus f3t k cap, and let's say I'm saying that this ft will tends to L1 L vector, that is L1i cap, L2j cap plus L3 k cap. Suppose I'm saying this ft is which means f1ti cap plus f2tj cap plus f3t k cap tends to this L vector, which is L1i cap plus L2j cap plus L3 k cap. If I am saying this, that means what? You can think that it means this I cap portion of F will tends to the I cap portion of L. This J cap component of F will tends to J cap component of L, and K cap components of F will tends to K cap components of L. That means it will tends to component wise. That means F1 tends to L1, F2 tends to L2, F3 tends to L3. Is it so? Now my question is it so? From the perspective, we can think that somehow it is be like that. But we need a concrete evidence behind this. and the concrete evidence to prove my assumption will be the below theorem, which states that if t tends to L, if and only if the I component tells to the I component, J component tends to J component, K component tends to K component. This is if and only if statement. That means if ft tends to L as t tends to t0, then f1t tends to L1, f2t tends to L2, f3 tends to L3. Conversely, if they are separately tending to L1, L2, L3, then the main limit tends to L. So this is an if and only if statement. Clear? Now let me do the proof. To prove this, first let the limit ft tends to L. We'll prove their separate part. That means separate part means f1 tends to L1, f2 tends to L2, f3 tends to L3. For that, let me assume that this limit tends to L, main limit. Then by this analytical definition, we can find an epsilon. We can say that for any epsilon there exists a delta which depends on epsilon, such that whenever this t minus t0 less than delta, this modulus less than epsilon. Now you know this is the value of ft, f1t I cap plus f2t j cap plus f3t k cap, minus L vector is L1 I cap plus L2 j cap plus L3 k cap, and this modulus is less than epsilon. Now let me separate the I cap portion. f1t minus L1 I cap, f2t minus L2 j cap, f3t minus L3 k cap, and its modulus is less than epsilon. Now as I told you, since it is a vector, the modulus of a vector means something like this. So in next line we'll apply that. So modulus of a vector means root over this square plus this square plus this square less than epsilon. Now if I want to remove this square root from the left hand side, it will become epsilon square. Now you think that sum of three squares are less than epsilon square. This is a positive quantity, this is a positive quantity, this is a positive quantity, and it is less than epsilon square. That means sum of three squares less than epsilon square. That means what? That means they are separately less than epsilon square. Isn't it? Yes, the answer will be same. They are separately less than epsilon square. Now if it is less than epsilon square, if I remove the square both sides, I can say this modulus is less than epsilon, this modulus is less than epsilon, this modulus is less than epsilon. Now you can say why it is modulus here, because it is not a vector, it is not, there is no I cap, j cap, k cap. The answer is here, whenever I am removing this square, whenever I am removing this modulus, this vector become a scalar. Modulus of a vector is a scalar. So I can write this, that if this square is less than epsilon square, its modulus is less than epsilon. Here the modulus means the normal scalar modulus, normal absolute value. But there the modulus means modulus of a vector. So this is less than epsilon, this is less than epsilon, this is less than epsilon. When this will happen? Whenever 0 less than modulus t minus t0 less than delta. So this is less than epsilon means this limit tends to L1, this is less than epsilon means this limit tends to L2, this limit tends to L3. Now the converse. Conversely, we'll assume the separate limits value will prove that ft tends to L. For that, then for any epsilon greater than 0, there exists a delta greater than 0, such that whenever this less than f delta, since each of this limit exists and have some value, so we can use epsilon delta definition over here, which states that modulus f1t minus L1 less than. Now you can say, sir, why we assume epsilon by root 3? Because always we say that for any pre-assigned epsilon, epsilon is pre-assigned. You can assign epsilon according to your choice. So let's say f1 t minus l1 less than epsilon by root 3, f2 t minus l2 less than epsilon by root 3, f3 t minus l3 less than epsilon by root 3. I am assuming this. There is a reason behind it. Now take the square. It will be epsilon square by 3, epsilon square by 3, epsilon square by 3. Now take their sum. Take their sum will give you epsilon square by 3, which means epsilon square. Now taking the square root, it will be less than epsilon. Now the point is clear. Why I am choosing epsilon by root 3? Because to get a complete epsilon over here. Now this is less than epsilon when 0 less than modulus t minus t0. When 0 less than modulus t minus t0 less than delta. This implies this limit is equal to L. This limit is equal to L. Now example is, suppose I consider ft as t square I hat plus sin t by t j hat plus e to the power t k hat. And suppose they ask you to find t tends to 0 ft. T tends to 0 ft.